Hi, I'm Polly Bergen.
And I'm Lisa Volpe from the Los Angeles Women's Shakespeare Company.
Join us for A Muse of Fire, an evening of Shakespearean scenes including music, dance, puppetry, and combat.
With celebrity guest artists Kathy Bates.
Love her.
Linda Hunt.
She's great.
Gates McFadden.
Star Trek.
And blues singer Linda Hopkins.
And me, Polly Bergen.
Yes, Polly. A Muse of Fire, one night only, Monday, October 18th at the Coronet Theater in West Hollywood. Call 310-392-8487 for tickets. Champagne and hors d'oeuvres on the house.
Can I carry a sword? I play a king.
Call 310-392-8487 to guarantee your reservation
Wait
today.
a minute. Is Kathy Bates carrying a sword?
Oh, for a muse of fire that would ascend the brightest heaven of invention.
Would you hold it down, please? Call 310-392-8487 and join the Los Angeles Women's Shakespeare Company, Monday, October 18th at the Coronet Theater. Who says there are no great roles for women?
Othello.
Lear.
Macbeth.
Richard III.
Romeo.
Shylock.
Our evening's called A Muse of Fire because the chorus of Henry V is a call to the audience to lend us your imaginations to make it happen. It's really hot.
First of all, we want to thank all of you for coming and supporting the Los Angeles Women's Shakespeare Company. I'm Erin Ehrlich, and I will be your host for the night.
Yay!
Tonight we'll be presenting several works in progress performed by members of the company and also some very special celebrity guests who are being kind enough to participate in our fundraiser. And you're probably wondering about now what we're doing with this Aladdin set behind the screen. And the truth is that we got it on loan from Disney for our next production, The Merchant of Baghdad.
Hello.
Shylock will, of course, be played by Jasmine. Actually, the truth is that Disney's own Michael Eisner was interested in sponsoring our company, but he wanted us to change our name to The Mighty Chicks.
Hey.
For those of you who didn't see our first production, Romeo and Juliet, all the roles were played by women. So those of us playing men did quite a bit of gender work, learning how men move, speak, think, and so on. So personally, we did. Personally, I can hardly wait until we do A Midsummer Night's Dream, where one of the male characters, Francis Flute, pretends to be a woman in the play within the play. Which means we will be casting a woman who will then be playing a man who will be playing a woman. And you thought the crying game was messy.
Hey.
But think of all the great talk show possibilities. Today at 4, women playing men, playing women, and the men and women who love them. And there have also been a lot of spin-off groups sprouting up around town, obviously in response to our all-female production. For example, I just read about this company in Pasadena who's casting an all-male season of Beth Henley plays. I wonder if they'll be doing the Lucky Spots. It wasn't a jab. Anyway, we are starting the evening anon, I'm getting you in the mood, with a short video showing some highlights from Romeo and Juliet and some interviews with some of the cast members. Enjoy the show.
And it concerns me to look in. Sorry, sir, to give me leave to have free speech with you. I shall desire you, sir, to give me leave to have free speech with you. And it concerns me to look into the bottom of my place. A power I have, but of what strength and nature I am not yet instructed. Let us withdraw together, and soon our satisfaction have touching that point.
Dealing with contemporary issues in a classical context gives us a forum to explore issues of power, of violence, of victimization, of gender behavior. There's a whole world of areas that we can explore. And remember, Shakespeare was dealing with an all-male company. So it's all possible within the text. We actually rise above some of the limitations that society's giving us now. And we find a wider vista, a more unbounded view of women's potential. And the Los Angeles Women Shakespeare Company is working to bring women's voices out onto the stage and into the world.
Two households, both alike in dignity, in Verona, where we lay our scene. From ancient grudge break to new mutiny, where civil blood makes civil hands unclean.
I think what was really remarkable about our production of Romeo and Juliet is that people really did get that feeling of love between this man and woman, even though there were two women playing the parts.
A man and a woman playing it, it's like, oh, lovely, romantic, and all that stuff. But two women playing it, it takes on a different thing altogether. And I think it's the resonance of the woman's voice, plus what's coming from her own perspective.
It's really fun for a woman to play. For me as a woman, I'm probably closer to the open vulnerability of a boy than a man my age might be, who'd be thicker muscled, deeper voiced, have a long history of conquest male to female, which I don't have. So for me it is hanging out there for the first time, and the air between the audience and the stage is just thick with that tension of what's going to happen.
What's in a name? That which we call a rose. By any other word would smell as sweet. So Romeo would, were he not Romeo called, retain that dear perfection which he owes without that title. Romeo, doff thy name, and for thy name which is no part of thee, take all myself.
I take thee at thy word. Call me but love, and I'll be new baptized. Henceforth I never will be Romeo.
What man art thou, that thus bescreened in night so stumblest on thy counsel?
By a name I know not how to tell thee who I am. My name, dear saint, is hateful to myself, because it is an enemy to thee. Had I it written, I would tear the word.
My ears have yet not drunk 100 words of thy tongue's uttering, yet I know the sound. Art thou not Romeo and a Montague?
In the show, as Juliet, I saw a young boy. I see young Romeo.
That's where it transcends. That's where it goes beyond. Especially if it's done well, if it's emotionally connected, people can handle the language, their bodies are free to let energy go through them, then that's what emerges.
Well, audience members of Romeo and Juliet that I talked to, or who talked with me after the show, spoke particularly about the balcony scene and how they were hearing the words, specifically hearing the words, like two people trying to get together, as opposed to the overall kind of love that you get when a man and a woman's playing it. And I think that's really important, because I think, the word's the thing, isn't it?
With love's light wings did I o'erperch these walls. For stony limits cannot hold love out. And what love can do, that dares love attempt. Therefore thy kinsmen are no stop to me.
If they do see thee, they will murder thee.
Alas, there lies more peril in thine eye than 20 of their swords. Look thou but sweet, and I am proof against their enmity.
And the thing is that nobody ever listens to her. They never ask her what's going on with her. Just like any adolescent teen, it's not so easy to approach your family and say, look, this is what's going on, this is what's happened. She's gone against the family.
His authority is put into question by her because she goes and does what she wants, which is a terribly shocking thing. You didn't do that in those days, and you certainly, on a more subtle level, don't do it nowadays in many families. I know most women are very terrified of bringing up their anger and really feeling the size and power of anger.
Out, you green sickness carrying! Out, you baggage, you towel face!
Fine, what are you, mad? Father, I beseech you on my knees! Hear me with patience, but to speak a word!
Hang thee, young baggage, disobedient wretch! I tell thee what, get into church on Thursday or never after look me in the face! Speak not! Reply not! Do not! Answer me!
But But this was a different kind of power. This was like not having to tame it. This was like raw power, you know, and that's very exciting, and it's very unsettling.
Graze where you will, you shall not house with me. Look to it. Think on't. I do not use to jest. Thursday is near. Lay hand on heart, advise. And you be mine, I'll give you to my friend. And you be not, hang, beg, starve, die in the streets, for by my soul I'll ne'er acknowledge thee, nor what is mine shall never do thee good. Trust to it, bethink you, I'll not be forsworn.
No one speaks up for her. In this direct appeal where Juliet says to her mother, help me, the response that she gets from her own mother is, talk not to me, or I'll not speak a word. And her mother, in the face of the fury of the head of the household, Capulet, shrinks and goes silent and gives up all her power, where she could speak, you know, on behalf of her daughter. So, you know, it's a very interesting and timeless situation that, you know, we as women finding a voice sort of highlight in the play.
The whole fabric wasn't based on open heart to heart, you know, it was based on obedience. And therefore, when Juliet finds herself in a situation where she needs help, she doesn't know what to do, she's left alone, isolated, especially when the nurse tells her, forget about the one you love, go against your heart.
Well, I don't think the nurse betrays Juliet. I think what the nurse does is tries to get Juliet to live in the real world. After all, this is what she's going to have to do.
What sayest thou? Hast thou not a word of joy? Some comfort, nurse?
Faith, here it is. Romeo is banished, and all the world to nothing, that he dares ne'er come back to challenge you, or if he do, it needs must be by stealth. Then, since the case so stands, as now it doth, I think it best you married with the county. Oh, he's a lovely gentleman. Romeo's a dishclout to him. An eagle madam hath not so green, so quick, so fair an eye as Paris hath. Be sure, my very heart, I think you are happy in this second match, for it excels your first. For if it did not, your first is dead. Or 'twere as good he were as living here, and you no use of him.
Speakest thou from thy heart?
And from my soul too, or else we shoot him both.
Amen.
It's a pity that we let inconsequential things get in the way of true love or life. Strike true love and say life.
What you see there is the universal chord of feeling and thought and human experience. What emerged for me was that you see the human being, the kind of place before there's maleness and femaleness.
The Los Angeles Women Shakespeare Company has opened up just a whole nother level of opportunities. For myself as an actress, for all women who are involved in every aspect, acting, directing, the music, the everything, the production, the set design, everything. It's just access to our art.
I'm going to be playing Iago in Othello, and that's a different image, that's a different sense of myself, that's a much harder journey for me.
Othello? Why are you doing Othello? And instead of really going into a conversation about it, my back got up and I said, why not? And he said, I don't know why women want to play roles that were written for men. So I guess some people really don't want to hear.
The more we can open up and include people, the happier we'll all be. And then we want to look at what it is we're scared about and walk right into those shadows and bring light and illuminate some of these issues that have been dark for so long. Why is it scary for women to play men? Why is it scary for women to have power? Why is it scary for women to pick up a weapon? Why is it scary for women to play out a romantic scene on stage? which was originally played by men. Why were women not allowed to perform? What lines are we crossing, and how does that make you feel? And why? So, you know, these are huge questions, and I'm really excited about the questions. And women are different when they go home, you know, and they feel like, hey, I did some important work today, you know, and somebody saw it.
Perform A Muse of Fire from Henry V in Song, music by Lynn Anderson, followed by the one and only Kathy Bates.
would ascend the brightest heaven of invention, a kingdom for a stage, princes to act, and monarchs to behold the swelling scene. Then should the warlike Harry, like himself, assume the port of Mars, and at his heels, leashed in like hounds, should famine, sword, and fire crouch for employment. But pardon gentles all, the flat, unraised spirits that hath dared on this unworthy scaffold to bring forth so great an object. Can this cockpit hold the vasty fields of France? Or may we cram within this wooden O the very casques that did affright the air at Agincourt? Oh, pardon. Since a crooked figure may attest in little place 1,000,000, and let us, ciphers, to this great account on your imaginary forces work. Suppose within the girdle of these walls 2 mighty monarchies whose high, upreared, and abutting fronts the perilous narrow ocean parts asunder. Piece out our imperfections with your thoughts. Into 1,000 parts divide one man and make imaginary puissance. Think when we talk of horses that you see them printing their proud hooves in the receiving earth. For 'tis your thoughts that now must deck our kings, carry them here and there, jumping o'er times, turning the accomplishment of many years into an hourglass. For the which supply, admit me chorus to this history, who prologue-like your humble patience pray, gently to hear, kindly to judge our play.
Yeah.
Author, activist, and humanitarian Polly Bergen will join us in a scene from Henry IV, Part 1, choreographed and directed by Tony Simotis.
My good lord, those prisoners in your highness' name demanded, which Harry Percy here at Holmdon took, were, as he says, not with such strength denied.
My liege, I did deny no prisoners. But I remember when the fight was done, when I was dry with rage and extreme toil, breathless and faint, leaning upon my sword, came there a certain lord. Neat and trimly dressed, he was perfumed like a milliner, and twixt his finger and his thumb he held a pouncet box, which ever and anon he'd give to his nose and take away again. I, then all smarting with my wounds being cold, to be so pestered with a popinjay, answered neglectingly, I know not what, he should or he should not, for he made me mad to see him.
Why, yet he doth deny his prisoners, but with proviso and exception that we, at our own charge, shall ransom straight his brother-in-law, the foolish Mortimer, who, on my soul, hath willfully betrayed the lives of those that he did lead to fight. Shall the coffers then be emptied to redeem a traitor home? No. On the barren mountains let him starve, for I shall never call that man my friend, whose tongue shall ask me for 1 penny cost to ransom home revolted Mortimer.
Revolted Mortimer! He never did fall off, my sovereign liege, but by the chance of war.
Thou dost belie him, Percy. Thou dost belie him. I tell thee, send us your prisoners, or you will hear of it.
Devil come and roar for them. I will not send them. Speak, Mortimer. Soon I will speak of him, and let my soul want mercy if I do not join with him.
Brother, the king hath made your nephew mad.
I cannot blame him. Was not Mortimer proclaimed by Richard that dead is the next of blood?
Soft, I pray you. Did King Richard proclaim my brother Edmund Mortimer heir to the crown?
He did. Myself did hear it.
He says he will not ransom Mortimer. Forbade my tongue to speak of Mortimer. But I will find him when he lies asleep, and in his ear I'll hollow, Mortimer. Nay, I shall have a starveling, shall be taught to speak nothing but Mortimer, and give it him to keep his anger still in motion.
Hear you, cousin, a word. I speak not in estimation as what I think might be, but what I know is ruminated, plotted, and set down, and stays only but to behold the face of that occasion that shall bring it on.
I smell. Upon my life, it will do well. It cannot choose but be a noble plot to join with more.
Cousin, farewell. No further go in this than I by letter shall direct your course.
Farewell, good brother.
Uncle, adieu. Oh, let the hours be short till fields and blows and groans applaud our sport.
Tell me else, could such inordinate and low desires, such poor, such bare, such lewd, such mean attempts, such barren pleasures, rude society as thou art matched withal and grafted to, accompany the greatness of thy blood and hold their level with thy princely heart?
So please your majesty, I would I could quit all offenses with as clear excuse as well as I am doubtless I can purge myself of many I am charged withal. Yet such extenuation let me beg. Find pardon on my true submission.
God pardon thee. Thy place in council thou hast rudely lost, which by thy younger brother is supplied. And art almost an alien to the court and princes of my blood. The hope and expectation of thy time is ruined. The soul of every man prophetically do forethink thy fall. Thou hast lost thy princely privilege with vile participation. Not an eye, but is a weary of thy common sight. Save mine, which hast desired to see thee more.
I shall hereafter, my thrice gracious lord, be more myself.
Now by my scepter and my soul to boot, Percy has more worthy interest of estate than thou, the shadow of succession.
Come, let me taste my horse, who is to bear me like a thunderbolt against the bosom of the Prince of Wales. Harry to Harry shall hot horse to horse meet, and there part till one drop down a course.
He doth fill fields with harness in the realm, turns head against the lion's armed jaws, and being no more in debt to years than thou, leads ancient lords and reverend bishops on to bloody battle and bruising arms. But wherefore do I tell this news to thee? Why, Harry, do I tell thee of my foes who art my nearest and dearest enemy. Thou art degenerate.
Do not think so. You shall not find it so. And God forgive them that so much have swayed your majesty's good thoughts away from me. I will redeem all this on Percy's head, and in the closing of some glorious day, be bold to tell you that I am your son, when I will wear a garment all in blood, and stain my favors in a bloody mask, which washed away shall scour my shame with it. I will call him to so strict account that he will render every glory up. I will tear the reckoning from his heart. This in the name of God I promise here, the which if he be pleased, I shall perform.
Let them come. They come like sacrifices in their trim, and to the fire-eyed maid of smoky war, all hot and bleeding, we will offer them. I am on fire!
If not, the end of life cancels all bans, and I will die 100,000 deaths ere break the smallest parcel of this vow.
100,000 rebels die in this. Thou shalt have charge. And sovereign trust herein.
Doomsday is near. Die all. Die merrily!
Come, let us take a muster speedily. Sound all the lofty instruments of war. And by that music let us all embrace. For heaven to earth, some of us never shall a second time do such a courtesy. All furnished, all in arms, all plumed like estridges that with the wind baited like eagles having lately bathed, glittering in golden coats like images, as full of spirit as the month of May, and gorgeous as the sun at midsummer, wanton as youthful goats, wild as young bulls!
A very valiant rebel of the name. I am the Prince of Wales, and think not, Percy, to share with me in glory anymore. 2 stars keep not their motion in one sphere, nor can one England brook a double reign of Harry Percy and the Prince of Wales.
I can no longer brook thy vanity! prophesy, but that the cold hand of death lies upon my tongue. Harry, thou art dust, food
For worms, brave Percy. Fare thee well, great heart. Thy ignominy sleep with thee in the grave, but not remembered in thy epitaph.